Hello, Kansas and Western fans. It's time for episode 36 of the construction of the Kansas and Western HO scale model railroad. For the last 2 weeks, the poll result was to work on structures, and I did that. However, I did a little bit more. I just wrapped up. Yesterday was the last day of basically a 7-day vacation where we didn't travel. We didn't do much at all, so I had a lot of time to spend in here. So I ran a little bit wild, a little bit beyond the mandate, but I got a whole lot of stuff done. So we're going to start at the beginning like always, because the tour is just the best way to make sure I don't leave any spaces out. So we'll have the tour for people that are new and to remind everybody what there are for options for the poll voting this weekend. All right, starting down here, I've added labels to the layout, which will both help me to identify everything that I keep forgetting and help you to help determine what area you'd like to vote for. But took that down, I have to put that back up here. Starting here in the Royal Gorge route, nothing new, no structures here, nothing done. Basically all that's left to do down here is scenery work. As you can see, probably quite a bit of ballasting left to go, and then obviously filling out the scenery to get rid of the pink foam look. The only thing I did do is, like I said in my last video, I am slowly starting to add a collection of trees, and I'm able to set some of those up to give me an idea of how I would like those things to look, how I can blend that in to backdrop, scenery, and so forth. So that's helped me to visualize a little bit. Moving down to Canon City, haven't gotten anything done structure-wise here for Colorado quarries, but I have gotten that spur laid. So that's all powered and works. Hope to see that in an upcoming operations video. It doesn't take very long to lay these spurs, and that's why I went ahead and threw those in this last update, because it doesn't take a lot of time, and I don't have much track delay, so I kind of wanted to remove that as a voting option because it wouldn't be worth 2 weeks worth of work. So anyway, that's part of the reason why I did that. Moving along here, you can see downtown Canon City starting to take shape. And building my first structure kit, which this is actually 3 structures in 1 kit, is allowing me to start to visualize how I want to lay this out. And so you can kind of see I've done some basic pencil scratchings of street layouts, other kits that I want to build. But basically, US 50 goes right through, not the official downtown, but it's close to it. It's only a block away. But it does go right along the tracks. So I'm going to reproduce that here. And then I'm just going to have to figure out how to blend the ends of the road into the backdrop there. But I figure maybe 2 more of these downtown kits that Walthers makes to fill this out, and figure out how to make that fade into the backdrop there, and then blend that in with the Portland cement plant. This next note here, this is just the trackage that I've got done here for the Royal Gorge route workshop that they have. That's not too far from the station, so that track is in. Here at Portland Cement, I've added a little switch engine shop here for the local switcher for just Portland Cement, so they have a place to do paperwork and so forth. And then I've started doing some paint work on the Portland Cement plant itself, experimenting with different types of concrete colors. I think this one might be 2 something. You guys can tell me. I'm the one that's colorblind. So I'm trying that out, see how it might look, but that's how it looks for now. And then we'll move around to the other side of the layout to continue here real quick. Moving around here to Pueblo. I think this is the only part of the whole layout that I didn't do anything. Still have a lot of decisions to make in terms of track layout, structures, and so on. That's going to definitely take some time to figure that out. Down here to La Junta Yard. I don't believe, this might be another place I didn't do anything. It really just needs a lot of track painting and ballast work and stuff like that. A little bit down here, but I did add these labels so we know what bridge that is. Highway 109 bridge at the east end of the yard. And then that's King Arroyo. Has a little bit of water in it, I think. I don't think it's got a lot, so I'm putting creek in parentheses there. So this isn't going to be a huge river scene, just kind of a low area that requires a little bit of trestle work that I have to do. And then wrapping around here to Lamar. I did add another structure here. I think this is a wet dry, or no, this is a surge bin. I think I still need to get a dryer unit added underneath. I think that's what the pad that sticks out there is for. But I do have this silo frame now a little bit to kind of take away from the bad seam against the backdrop there. So I just need to add a head house to the top here and some other smaller structures along the side to complete this scene here. And then we'll move around to Holly. I did get quite a bit of work done here. I've added on to this old grain elevator structure. Haven't got any paint work done or anything like that yet, just elements of the structure built. And then this is an old time silo, I guess. It still exists in reality. If you look at the photo of Holly, what I'm working on is this section here. And even though this is a concrete elevator, it wasn't something I really wanted to scratch build right now. I might replace this old style elevator with a scratch built one to match that. But I think this is a good stand-in for now. And then I still have to build, this is like a 9-tank structure. I'm not sure, this might be a seed mill or something like that, because those tanks aren't very big. And then it's got an elevator there in the middle, so we'll be adding that as I go. And then the only other thing I added here was this scale house. Still needs a lot more detail added, but as I said, I think in the last video, I try not to add too many details because I know I'm going to be handling these structures quite a bit more with all the scenery work, painting, and so forth. So I don't want to risk damaging anything that I don't have to put on. I'm really just putting structures in place to get an idea for their location and how they're going to interact with their surroundings. So that's why there's not a lot of details on my structures just yet. All right, moving up to the Hulken power plant. Nothing new there, except the label temporarily put in place. All my labels are actually going to be done on the fascia. So that's why these are just paper labels taped into place for now. But once the fascia is up, these are what my labels are going to look like. I do them with a label maker, so they look kind of sharp and should stick on there for a while. Anyway, up to Garden City. I've realized that I don't want to buy a ton of kits just for the tanks. But if you look at these two businesses, and they're called Midwest PMS, and I think this is the cattle feed supplier, but they have dozens and dozens of tanks. And I don't want to buy a bunch of kits just for their tanks. So I've spoken to Walther's customer service, and it sounds like they might be able to ship me just tanks from different kits. So they've asked for part numbers. I'm going to get that to them so that I can order 2 or 3 dozen tanks similar to these. And I think that's a Rick's tanks actually, but a lot of variety. You can see the variety there. And then over here at Helena Chemical, and these two are right next to each other, just west of Garden City. A lot of variety to the tanks there. So I think I'm going to add several along the backdrop because you can see from that photo that whole industry is just full of tanks. So that'll help me to blend the foreground and the background in with just lots of tanks. So I'm going to see what Walther's can do for me in that regard, just to order variety and get these scenes filled out. All right, moving down to Charleston Elevator. Nothing new here. I need to get another house kit to finish this scene out and do another CoOp Office. And that'll be it for structures here, besides obviously adding lots more detail to the elevator itself. I'll wrap around to the Wichita Industrial Park. This is Star Lumber Distribution Yard, kind of in the southwest central part of Wichita. That's what it looks like on Google Earth. And we've got All Metal Recycling, which is just a hair west of the Wichita Yard. And Clean Harbors. I do have some kit ideas, kit bash ideas to generate some portions of the refinery itself here in the background. I don't have a lot of space between the tracks and the wall, but I think there's enough that I can put some more in there besides just these 4 tanks. So I have some ideas about that. And then what I'm working on here is Advent Mills, which, like I said in the past, there's at least a dozen different elevators in North Wichita. So, I basically decided to choose one to try to reproduce. And this is the beginning of that. I think this color that I went with, this faded concrete color, is too dark again. This is the second paint job. So still experimenting with colors on that. And haven't quite finished the kit, obviously. But what I did come up with, which I'm pretty proud of myself because I'm not really an outside the box kind of thinker, but I use a portion of this grain silo kit to kind of blend it into the backdrop. And I think that's going to work pretty well. I'm just going to have to figure out how to cut the base and the roof to fit, and then custom cut one for the rest of the silos here from that kit. So that worked out pretty well. I like to try to think out of the box. I'm just not that good at it. So I'm pretty proud of myself for that one. Anyway, moving on to the Wichita yard. Nothing new over here. And you can see I still have lots of gaps in my tracks from removing ties to put the track together. I think this weekend while you guys are voting, I'm going to work on continuing to fill those gaps because it just makes all the track work look that much better to get rid of those gaps. So I'm going to work on that this weekend while you guys are voting. All right, we'll move back to the other side. Over to the UP side here. Got a yard office put in here temporarily. And that fits pretty well in this space. There'll be just enough room for a small parking lot on one side here. And we'll get some other equipment. Down here at this end, this will be Cargill. There's the label there. I've got one of these larger grain bins built. I was curious how it would look in this position, and I think I've mentioned many times I want to try to build up this industry to kind of block this view from this side of the yard so you can't see all the way down to that part of the layout. I'm not going to be able to do it completely, obviously, because of where the tracks converge, but I'm going to try to do as much as I can. But I realized the other day when I was trying to figure out this track layout, because I haven't gotten that final couple spurs done down here, is I'm not going to be able to reach a car that gets dropped off down here to uncouple or anything if I completely block this end of the track. So I'm going to have to remove, these are just stand-in silos for now. I'm going to have to remove a couple of these so that I can reach in there to uncouple a car, unless I decide to do a magnetic uncoupler down at the end or something like that. So definitely something I have to keep in mind so I can make sure I can reach everything. All right, we'll wrap down here to Towanda. Nothing new here. And then this area here, I decided to give it a name because it's not really El Dorado and it's not really Towanda, so we're going to call it the Dorado Oil Field. Since that's what I've been wanting to work on in this whole area, since the layout was even designed, was just a representation of what the oil field looks like. So I've got these 3D printed pump jacks from Whistle Stop Models in the background and the tank battery. And then I finally put together one of these Walthers kits. This one, I'd never put one of these together, so I just wanted to see how difficult it was going to be to motorize later on. So this one is not motorized, but it gave me some good practice. So I know the sensitive areas that have to be well oiled and not tight fitting to make this thing operate. So learned a lot from that. So looking forward to do another one of those that will operate. And then as we transition to the El Dorado Industrial Park, you can see I've got a number of trees here. I'm trying to isolate these scenes to give a little bit of an idea of distance between. I'm not sure how well that's going to work, but that's the intent. All right, so we have mirrors here, and I've added an office slash workshop facility for that. I've gotten all the track laid, and it works. And I've got a place for my trackmobile. Mirrors does actually have its own trackmobile to perform switching operations. It's just got a little 3-track spur there, but it allows them to move cars around in the facility without having to wait for the local to do it. So that'll be that trackmobile's home. Then we transition over to Barton Solvits. I finally have these two industries and BG products both represented, track laid and powered, but I know which one is which now. So labels are helpful. But as you can see, in reality, those two industries are right next to each other with a single spur feeding both off the local line there. So that's the way I've laid it out here. And I resolved the issue I was having with this chemical distributor kit on how to make everything work. I'm just going to focus on the tanks feeding into this facility here, and with the pipe bridge coming from this structure here, and then the kit where the trucks could drive through, I'm spreading out into just several walls that will all be glued together and just glued, taped, whatever, right onto the backdrop, just to show kind of a larger complex in the background. So there won't be any truck traffic or anything like that, which is fine because this isn't a truck layout, this is a railroad layout. But I wanted to maintain all the neat details that come with this kit in terms of the pipe bridge that comes from the building to the tanks and tanks to that building. So I wanted to keep that aspect. And then to refer back here, I do have one loading rack finished. It was a little bit tricky to get the safety cage to stay. So I had an interesting way to stack some various things up to make sure that was level when it dried, but it turned out really well. So I have a set of 4 of these, and then this chemical distributor kit came with 2 of its own. So that'll give me 6 positions, 3 for each of these industries, laid out kind of like this. So that'll be pretty decent for the scene. And then in the background here, for Barton Solvits, I'm going to just add a whole bunch more tanks again, like I did, or like I'm planning to do at Garden City, because as you can see in the back here, that's the way it looks in reality, just lots of tanks. All right, moving on to the Eler Refinery. These 2 kits I just got in, haven't even got the plastic off them yet. What I'm going to try to do is my first major kit bash, and that is to create this coker unit. And this is the actual coker unit for El Dorado Refinery, using these 2 silos as the base for that, and then using this bridge crane, custom fit or custom cut to length, which it comes in separate lengths, like you can build it to whatever length you want. So I'm going to get rid of that pointed end and just make a tall derrick to stand in for that. So not sure how well that's going to work. This is the only 2 kits that I could come up with that would give me a good base to build something like this. I think I'm also going to plan to get one of those skyscraper construction sites that Walthers offers to do all the framework around it. Again, not sure how well this is going to work. It might be way out of scale, but then again, this is the tallest structure in the refinery, I think. If not, it's very close. So it is going to stand out here in the refinery, and that's fine. So interested to see how that's going to work. Kind of excited, kind of nervous, but I've tried all kinds of other new things on this layout and succeeded for the most part, so we'll try it out. Here in the refinery, I've gotten all the refinery tracks laid, except for that last one that goes into the facility itself. And that one's going to wait until I have probably 75% of the refinery built, so I know exactly how I want that track to lay. So that one's going to be a while. But all these are powered. You've got the loading rack tracks, you've got 2 storage tracks, and then this is the track that will feed the coker unit with a loading bay right in this area here. And if you saw my operations video, you saw my little trials and tribulations with the switcher crossing crossovers. This will be its new home, so a dedicated switcher will be working this whole refinery here. And this note might be kind of cheesy, but I did start getting some painting done on these tanks, so they're not just plain plastic anymore. All right, wrapping down to Union Tank Car, the final location on the layout. Nothing new here. And that pretty much wraps us up. So that was a full tour of the layout. Now we'll open up the poll. Leave in the comments below what area of the layout or aspect that you'd like me to work on for the next couple of weeks. And we will vote all weekend. Voting will wrap up at Sunday midnight U.S. Central Time. And Monday afternoon, I will shoot an update video for the poll results and share my work plan to carry those results out. So thank you all for your interest and your comments and questions and suggestions. Everybody have a great weekend.